You are Locked On MLB Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, welcome in. Locked On Dodgers on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel and Locked On Rockies Postcast. I am Pete Fox. He is Anilo Piro, and the Rockies pull one out. I thought we might have some extra innings. I thought, any number of things could happen, but one thing I know for sure, Anilo, we talked about it last night, happened again tonight. The Rockies just don't go away. They keep grinding. They keep scrapping. They, honestly, I was looking at this game thinking, kind of taking a step back a little bit. And I'm like, why is this team's record so bad? And really, it kind of boils down to one thing, and that's pitching. And tonight, it didn't really cause them too much of a problem. We've talked about why it's an issue at altitude and so forth, but ultimately, they did okay. And I think their starting pitcher, who still didn't get a decision here because he hasn't had one in a long time with Feltner. This is now his 12th start without a decision, but it was all, back and forth all night long. And in the end, the Rockies pull it out 7-6. How does it feel to finally get a win here 3 days into the series?
Well, as I told you before we started, Pete, this might be the only time we do a crossover episode together where I could talk about a Rockies victory. And a scrappy bunch, and you hit the nail on the head. It's not only the pitching that they struggle with, in particular, it's the bullpen that has been disastrous. And, they get a good start tonight. They get some decent bullpen relief overall, and a nice little 7-6 victory for the Colorado Rockies, and really a nice bounce back performance, because with the way that the game ended last night, and we could talk about this as the postcast goes on, I was there pregame today, had the opportunity to chat with Buddy Black, caught up with some of the guys as well, and they rolled right over. So nice to see them lock in or lock on for this game to play off that as well. And we'll see what happens in the rubber game tomorrow. Well, it's not a rubber game technically, but we'll see if they can at least get a split tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess appropriate that Jake Cave scores the winning run. They spent a lot of time during the broadcast talking about how angry and upset he was, and it was more about this very specific phrase that Lance Barksdale issued to him, or yelled at him, or uttered to him, I guess would be a better way of putting it. You told me it wasn't close. And I just think it's hilarious that he got so mad about the fact that he said that sentence. If he hadn't said that sentence, can we assume that JK would have been less mad? Probably not. But he definitely took advantage of that statement, and that really set him off. And he was definitely irate because Barksdale said to him, "You told me it wasn't close." I just, we've all been pissed off at ridiculous things, and you just, hone in and focus in on one angle in an argument. And for Jake Cave, it was the fact that Barksdale didn't even think it was close. If he said, well, it was close, but I went with this call. This was my decision. I'm sorry it didn't work out for you, but this is what I went with. Do you think Jake Cave would have had a different reaction? I don't think so. But
I don't think he would have had a different reaction, but I think that certainly fanned the flames a little bit. Like, I think he was like, on the scale of 1 to 10, I think Jake Cave was like an 8. And then once he heard that, it took him up to like a 9 or a 10. I mean, he was irate after the game today, but that was one of the guys that, I saw in the clubhouse today, hanging out with Ryan McMahon and company, playing cards, smiling, laughing, joking. So obviously by the time they got to the ballpark today, they had shaken it off and moved forward. And clutch tagging up there at the end from Jake Cave. Nice sack fly from Brenton Doyle. And Adiel Amador, a clutch at bat as well. I know it's a double play ball, but he beats out the run to first after fouling that ball or that pitch off to his knees. So a little small ball from the Rockies. What was up with that defensive formation as well from the Dodgers with that when Amador was trying to sack bunt? They were talking about it on the Rockies broadcast. They were playing like press coverage and then back up in case he didn't bunt it. A little bit of a nifty gamesmanship from the Dodgers there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. They seem to, or they were trying to distract him, I guess, being a rookie, what's his 7th game in the majors. I don't know. It didn't seem like it was completely necessary, but it was working. So, hey, why not go with it and try something a little different? That's one of the things I like about the Dodgers defensively. They're not afraid to try things, right? It's not always like, this is what you do. This is the way you have to play it. They get that way a lot of times when they're pulling pitchers out of the games and so forth. They feel like, oh, it's got to be 100 pitches or he's thrown 6 and that's that. So they definitely are at times locked into sabermetrics and what the books say, but defensively, they're not afraid to try things. And I appreciate that about them, moving people around and, doing different types of shifts and playing people in positions that you don't normally think would go there or they would work there or be comfortable there. The Dodgers will try it, and I appreciate that. And they've started to be, due to the Mookie Betts injury, they've started to be flexible with the lineup as well. Andy Pajes batting cleanup tonight for the first time in his career. Of course, unfortunately, he had 2 hits at the plate, which was nice, but the error there cost them a couple of runs and ultimately the game. So, he's a youngster. It's going to happen. And tonight it was basically his fault they lost, but a good game, all in all, in spite of the Andy Pajes error that cost him the game, I would say he was fine at the plate. And, they battled. They're not going to win them all. This was a good game. Shohei Ohtani with a couple of hits, Freddie Freeman with a couple of hits. That one hit from Freddie Freeman early in the game, out of his first or second at bat, where he just flailed at it one-handed off the outside part of the plate. That was a really nice piece of hitting. One of the things I wanted to mention to you that is interesting about the Rockies, it seems like every night they face the Dodgers, they have, because I don't watch the Rockies when they're not playing the Dodgers, but it seems like every night there's a guy that steps up and kind of has a big night. Tonight it was this Tolia guy. He had a triple and a home run, 3-run shot. It's been Tovar. Last night it was Doyle. It seems like every night there's a guy that steps up. Now, I guess it would be better if they could get a couple of guys to step up every night, but I guess it's a nice place to start. You got one guy that can show up and put on the game face for one game.
Yeah, no. And again, as you had mentioned earlier, like the offense, although it's been a little up and down, has not been the primary problem. It's been the pitching, but they're just a scrappy team. And I know that their record is not going to justify that at 26-48 now. But Michael Toglia for the last, I don't know, probably better. He really popped off in that series a couple of weeks ago against the St. Louis Cardinals. He's 25, 26 years old, so still trying to find a spot in the major leagues. But he has these moments every now and again. Tovar, who we've talked about, Amador tonight. They've got these guys. Jake Cave, who is someone that I don't want to say that I've called for his benching or anything like that, but I'm just big on like play the young guys. Like, what is Jake Cave doing like in his mid-30s playing on this team? But, he brings that intensity. He brings that fire with this Rockies club. Ryan McMahon, the California kid, same thing. So, look, their record is not that good, but I can tell you this, and I think tonight's game confirms that they are going to play hard each and every night. This is not a team that's going to roll over, whether they lose in epic fashion like they did last night or they lose by double-digit runs. They're gonna show up to the next game with a blank slate and taking advantage of some spots tonight against the Dodgers.
Well, Bobby Miller made his return for the Dodgers, 6 1/3, giving up 5 runs on 6 hits. Feltner went 5, giving up 6 runs on 7 hits. They both leave with no decision. We'll get into Bobby Miller's performance after the break. And I wanted to run something by you because I've talked a lot about it on the Dodgers postcast. Shohei Ohtani's batting style, the mechanics of his swing sometimes are baffling to me. And I saw something on Instagram that was fascinating, and I want to talk about it a little bit because I feel like I'm being very old-fashioned when it comes to analyzing his swing, and I feel like maybe he's onto something now, and I should be a little less critical because obviously it's working, and I've never denied that, but I am always baffled at the way he is able to swing the bat with his body flailing out and still make solid contact and hit the ball nearly 400 feet like he did yesterday, which was, what was that? The longest home run of the season I heard, or the second longest? That was an absolute
it was a
shot last night. Yeah, exactly. So we'll get into that and Bobby Miller's performance as well as the Dodgers fall in this one. A walk-off for the Rockies, 7-6. I'm Pete Fox. This is the Locked On Dodgers postcast on the Locked On Sports LA YouTube channel. And he is Danilo Piro on the Locked On Rockies postcast on the Locked On Denver LA. I'm sorry, the Locked On Denver YouTube channel. So we're doing a little crossover thing here like last night. So find us on the Locked On Rockies podcast feed and the Locked On Dodgers podcast feed.
Yes, sir.
Got to get all of those points in there. So I'm Pete Fox and Danilo Piro as well. We'll take the break and come right back. All right, tonight's show brought to you by eBay Motors. eBay Motors, as you know, is something I am a fairly big fan of. More in the past than I am now. I still like eBay Motors, but I just don't use it as much because I have an electric car. And fortunately, knock on wood, I don't have to repair it all that often. But if your ride or die is in need of some touching up or repairing or upgrading, eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance, from superchargers to roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and much more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. As I've mentioned before, I've purchased brakes there, and it's always at a very, very good deal. Probably 25% of what you would spend at an auto parts store. Bought a roof rack there, put it on my old Ford Bronco. Again, a very good deal. And it worked fine and worked great. It was very functional for me over a long period of time. They have over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you're looking for at eBay Motors with their eBay Guaranteed Fit. Another benefit is that you will get the right part for your car, and if you don't, you'll get your money back, because eBay Motors has you burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Tonight's show also brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is, of course, America's number one fantasy sports app with over 3 million members. Easiest and most exciting way to play DFS. It's just you against the numbers. You pick 2 to 6 players and their stat projections. It can be in one game. It can be in multiple games. It can be across 2 different sports. And if you get at least 2 right, the winnings will start to roll in. They've also got the Demons and the Goblins. The newest and most exciting way to play Prize Picks. Demons, a little bit harder, therefore they pay a little bit more. The Goblins are a little bit easier and pay a little bit less. I'm a fan of the Goblins. Don't always win as much, but as Nuke Lelouch said, winning is like so much better than losing. So with the Goblins, if you get 4 correct picks, you can win up to $1,000. Another great thing about Prize Picks: quick deposits and easy withdrawals. Go to prizepicks.com/lockedonmlb and use the code LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB. Pick more, pick less. It is that easy. Yeah, it did the same thing for me that it did to you, where it switched over the background last night. All right, cool. Let's get back over here. There we go. All right. Yeah, technical difficulties, not a big one, though. I'm Pete Fox. He's Danilo Piro. This is the Locked On Dodgers postcast and the Locked On Rockies postcast, doing a crossover here as the Rockies get a walk-off win on a sac fly. Not as thrilling as last night's win for the Dodgers, but a win nonetheless. 7-6 the final. As I mentioned, Shohei Ohtani with a couple of hits, 2 for 5. He's 7 for 15 in this series, which is a pretty good clip right there for Shohei Ohtani. And the thing that I have criticized Shohei Ohtani for is when he looks good, he looks really good. And when he looks bad, it's awful. Like that right hip, the right side of his body, flailing open and pulling out of the zone. I saw this thing today, or I don't even know, it was a golf Instagram feed actually, but it was comparing Shohei Ohtani's swing to a long drive golfer. I don't know who he was, but he's like one of the longest drivers on the long drive tour. And it's similar to what you see from a Bryson DeChambeau or Scotty Scheffler swing, where this front foot is kind of floating above the ground and pulling out. right? And they compared the swings to each other at the same time. And what he pointed out was that Shohei Ohtani gets his power from his hips thrusting at the ball and his top foot kind of floating above the ground as opposed to being anchored into the ground. So the power is generated from this loose front foot and the hips thrusting through. So even though it looks atrocious because it's flailing open and flying out of the zone, which is completely contrary to anything any hitting coach will ever tell you, he's evidently figured something out and stumbled onto something, much like these golfers, Scotty Scheffler, these other guys that have that front foot just kind of moving around. And maybe it's like a new era of hitting, and we're just going to see this happening more frequently than we have in the past. Does this look strange to you as well, or is it just me? And do you think that, obviously Shohei Ohtani's a good hitter? Is his technique kind of groundbreaking to a certain extent?
Yeah, I think it's very unique. And I think you can only nitpick Shohei Ohtani's performance so much because regardless of how he's swinging the bat, he's producing, hitting 317, sixth in Major League Baseball, 20 home runs, ranked tied for third, 52 RBI, tied for 11th, and his OPS of 995 is third in Major League Baseball as well. So it definitely looks a little off, and I think back, I was never even close to playing professional baseball, but like a lot of the hitting lessons, right? Keep the hands in, feet planted, everything you just talked about. It's definitely an unorthodox type of batting stance, I would say. But like I said, if it works for him, which it has been ever since he got called up to the big leagues or made the big league roster with the Angels, all those years ago now, if it works for him, great. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's kind of my mentality with it. But yeah, definitely a little sore on the eyes, so we'll see there. But if it keeps working, it keeps working.
Jeff from Locked On Dodgers chiming in or chirping from the cheap seats. 2 MVP awards didn't convince you. Ohtani knew what he was doing, but a golf Instagram video did. Well, look, I come on, let's be honest, Jeff. I never said he didn't know what he's doing. I just said it's ugly. And generally speaking, when guys are proficient at what they do, it's pretty and smooth and, fancy. But not for Shohei Ohtani. When he's going the other way, that front side stays in a whole lot better. Tonight on the 3-run double was it the first or the second? First of all, I keep forgetting that guy's name. The starting pitcher, Feltner.
Or
yeah,
Feltner,
yeah, they talked about it on the Dodger broadcast a fair amount that Feltner at the bottom of the lineup against Kike and Austin Barnes and Biggio, he was really trying to be fine, painting the corners and so forth. But then when Shohei comes up, he just grooves one right down Main Street. He put it in the exact perfect spot, almost like he put it on a tee for Shohei Ohtani, up and out. And he absolutely just obliterated that ball completely, connected and hit it in the exact spot that he wanted to. So it was the wrong pitch at the wrong time from Feltner to Ohtani there for that 3-run double. But in that particular pitch, at first I thought, see there, he stayed in. Then I watched it again on the replay and he pulled out a little bit on that one. It wasn't quite that bad, but I guess it's, it is what it is. And that's what Shohei Ohtani is going to do. And yes, I just have to get used to it because, that's what he's comfortable with, and that's what works for him. He did have 3 RBIs, 2 for 5, and again, 7 for 15 in this series against the Rockies. So hopefully he can keep that going. Freddie Freeman got the average back up to 300 after a 2 for 5 day. Teoscar, 1 for 4 with the run scored, still leading the Dodgers in the RBI department with 53. Chris Taylor got into the game, and we forgot to mention a couple of very important things from yesterday. First of all, a bunch of the regular viewers were commenting a moment of silence or a rest in peace at the very least for the Say Hey Kid, Willie Mays, and that is absolutely just for sure. And the other thing we forgot to mention was Chris Taylor with a triple yesterday has the average up to 116 now. So Chris Taylor, red hot. No, 115. Sorry. So it got rid of that 0 in the middle of his lineup. Or in the middle of his batting average. So he's definitely got it rolling. He's red hot and batting 115 with a triple yesterday. And today he hit it right on the nuts, right? Right on the screws, just right at the second baseman there, Amador. So another ball that was hit hard.
Yeah, and Buddy Black, as he likes to say, that's baseball, right? And Chris Taylor's been around the block, and I'm sure the Dodger fan, like I'm seeing the comments already on YouTube about, Bueller's numbers are that of the White Sox, and, DFA this guy, fire Roberts. Not everyone can be, Shohei Ohtani. Not everyone can be Mookie Betts. Like, now look, 115 batting average? Like, not really major league caliber, right? So you hope that that'll correct itself as the game goes along. But I did want to rehash a point that you had made, Pete, about the starting pitcher tonight in Ryan Feltner for the Rockies, because specifically with that Shohei pitch, because Bud Black was asked about him today in the dugout leading up to the game. And part of the reason why you'll see him hang those balls in the sweet spot or even just miss erratically is Bud Black was mentioning how, there's a lot of, I forget the word he used. It was a fun word that he used, but like, there's a lot of juice that goes into his pitch, and he's a very mental thinker. And sometimes he'll find it, this is Buddy's interpretation of it. He'll be so in his own head about trying to make the perfect pitch or gripping the ball the right way or this or that the ball either gets erratic or to that point of overthinking, he'll hang one right over the middle. So that's a work in progress for the Rockies pitching staff. But, it is one of those situations where tonight's game, they get bailed out a little bit by the Pius error, as you had mentioned earlier. But all in all, these games, I know the Dodgers would have won the first two, but the Rockies have been in all of these games for the most part. Yesterday they had a lead for a majority of it before they blew it at the end. And then what's today? Wednesday. So that would have been on Monday. I think they were in it up until about the 6th or the 7th inning as well. So just par for the course, but nice to see them bounce back tonight. And I know we also had a comment. I think it is a worthy one in the YouTube chat. Let's see if the Dodgers can win this series without Mookie Betts tomorrow.
Yeah. Feltner's one of these guys that you are curious how he gets in there, every 5 days with a 1-6 record and a 6+ ERA, the worst batting average against with runners in scoring position in Major League Baseball. But today, I thought in spite of giving up, it was 6 runs on 7 hits. I didn't think he pitched that poorly. I just thought the Dodgers took advantage. They were tight at the plate and they hit the ball. So, I feel like this is what you get a lot of times from a Colorado Rockies pitcher. And I feel like for them, that's a decent start. You said it. It's a good start for him in Colorado against a very good hitting Dodgers team. And you would have liked to seen a little bit fewer, maybe 3 runs on 4 hits instead of 6 runs on 7 hits. But nonetheless, he comes away with 5 solid innings and they win the game. So that's all I needed to do. As far as Bobby Miller went, he was a little off at times, got a lot of help defensively with double plays. Dodgers turned 3 double plays to get him out of some jams, and that was nice to see. He was, walking some guys, 3 in total, only struck out 2, gave up a home run. I don't know if he was trying to be too fine, but it just seemed like he was a guy that was coming off of the IL and hasn't pitched since the middle of April. So not surprising. And another a situation that we talked about last night that was updated and changed today. Walker Buehler put on the IL, not because he's injured or anything is wrong with him. They feel like he just needs some time to kind of mentally decompress. They're not sending him down. They're not going to give him more rehab starts or anything like that. They just feel like he needs some time away. And he agreed. I saw a comment after the game yesterday. He agreed that just maybe some time off will help him kind of refocus. He also commented that he feels like he's completely useless. And I think a lot of people would agree with that. But, looking up and down the Dodgers starting rotation now with Yamamoto being on the IL as well, not quite as beefy and bolstered as they were a week ago. So I don't know that it's going to be a major problem. They'll probably bring up Landon Knack from AAA. He's been very good for them. Gavin Stone has been good. Kershaw pitched today, gave up 2 runs on 3 hits over 3 or 4 innings, which, for a rehab start's not terrible. So I feel like they'll be all right, and it'd be a good time to get him back in there. So we'll see how that goes. We'll take the final break, come back and discuss this one further as the Rockies get a 7-6 win on a walk-off sac fly in the 9th to beat the Dodgers, win their first game of this series. So the Dodgers leading this series now 2-1. The win is number 26 for the Rockies and 15 at home. Dodgers fall to 46-30 and 22-15. I'm Pete Fox. He's Anilo Piro. This is the Locked On Dodgers and Locked On Rockies postcast crossover. on the Locked On Sports Denver and LA YouTube channel. Hey, that was a little bit more tight. That was a little bit more concise. All right, we'll hit the break and come back and wrap it up. Over here, get over here. Give me a second. I'm almost there. Okay, here we go. Got it. Okay, bro.
All right, let me tell you about our friends over at Policy Genius, because a lot of life is unpredictable, but a good life insurance plan gives you and your family a financial safety net to protect against some of the unknowns. Policy Genius is the country's leading online insurance marketplace. It makes choosing the right policy for your family easy and quick. And with Policy Genius, you can find life insurance policies that start at just $292 per year for $1 million worth of coverage. Some options are 100% online and lets you avoid unnecessary medical exams. And, have you ever gotten positive feedback from these types of meetings? No one likes to go through this stuff. Our friends over at Policy Genius are going to make it extra simple for you. Get peace of mind by finding out the right life insurance with Policy Genius. Head to policygenius.com or click the link in the description to get your free life insurance quotes and see how much you can save. That's policygenius.com. And look, I know I'm a little bit of a younger guy doing this read, but I've had some similar conversations with my family about what happens when this happens, when the domino effect, right? And sometimes it's scary to think about what's going to happen, in the future with life, and it's inevitable at some point. But our friends over at Policy Genius are going to take great care of you. They're going to take the stress out of getting life insurance, the entire process. And like I said, one of the best parts is you can get a life insurance policy that starts at just $292 per year for up to $1 million in coverage. That's a heck of a deal from our friends over at Policy Genius. So again, some of the options are 100% online and lets you avoid those unnecessary medical exams. One thing I've heard from friends of my folks, or just, people that are going through these hula hoops with the life insurance, is, they really like to get to know each and every aspect of your life. What are you dealing with? What are you not dealing with? Our friends over at Policy Genius do that in a very genuine and a very fair way. So be sure to check them out, policygenius.com/lockedon. And I'll also tell you about our friends over here at Tax Network USA. Here on Locked On Sports, on the Locked On Rockies postcast and the Locked On Dodgers postcast, on this crossover episode, we pride ourselves on getting you the latest news for your team. Whether it's the offseason, the draft, spring training, or the playoffs, it's year-round. You know what else is year-round? Collection season. Just because tax season is over doesn't mean the IRS will stop coming after you for unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages, levy your bank accounts, and even seize your property. Don't let that happen. Don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. With over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau, Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. Whether you owe taxes, have complicated matters that require tax planning, or finally hit that parlay this season and need some help correcting that as well, or help correctly filing that as well. Call 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. And you can see the link in this episode description below. And here's what I could say. I don't like dealing with the IRS. I'm still waiting for my tax return. It's been all screwed up. It's never fun. And look, these guys are a little aggressive when it comes to garnishing wages and taking advantage of all that kind of stuff. So be sure to visit our friends over at tnusa.com/lockedon. Nobody wants to deal with the tax man, and our friends over at Tax Network USA do a great job of making it easy for you, the people, to get over some of these obstacles. So visit them, tnusa.com/lockedon, or call 1-800-549-1000.
All right, Rockies with a 7-6 walk-off win. They get it on a sac fly. This team, I think this is a good win for them from the standpoint that we talked about it last night. How would they respond? How would they come back from a fairly devastating loss last night? I talked to a couple of people, just friends that are, general sports fans. One of them he's not a big baseball fan. He, like I said, he's a sports fan. So he pays attention to what's going on in LA sports. And we were chatting about various things. And he was like, how about that Dodger win last night? That was awesome. And a lot of people kind of had that feeling that game was one that you won't forget for a while. That's going to be a memorable win for this Dodger team throughout the season, or at least the next few weeks. People will remember that. So it could have been fairly devastating for a Rockies team that is 20 plus games under 500, and they bounced right back. So I think that's a good sign for them. You mentioned being in the clubhouse before the game. They all seem to be in good spirits. And that's nice to see that they weren't, just kind of still ticked off today, dragging that along with them, that they deserved to win that game last night, because you told me it wasn't close. It was close. At least just say it was close. That's all Cave wanted. Just say it was close. It was close. Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I hear you, man. And the unfortunate part about it is part of the reason they were probably able to roll over today is, I hate to admit it, they're probably conditioned to it. They're used to losing these games in embarrassing fashion. They're used to getting blown out, right? I think last night was a little bit of a new standard. I don't think I've seen anything like that in recent memory. And it was funny. Like, some of the media guys were just kind of all sitting around in circles after Buddy's media availability today and kind of rehashing the game. And it was like, what the heck? And, that's baseball at the end of the day, right? But they are a little battle tested when it comes to, getting knocked down and having to get back up.
Without a doubt, you can see that they know how to handle that. And when they're down, couple runs or even down big in a game, they probably don't have too much issue with it, because they're comfortable with it. They know how to handle it. And it's something that's fairly regular for them. But, I'll say it because you didn't. We've criticized the bullpen a fair amount for the Rockies over the last couple of days. I made note that your guy Bird in the 8th had a huge K on Shohei Ohtani struck him out looking. And I was like, well, I didn't expect that and I believe there was a runner in scoring position, at least on second. It might've been first and second for the Dodgers at that point, but I know they did have a runner on. And that was a huge K from Bird. So they're not always bad. At times they can get the job done.
Well, even a broken clock's right twice a day, right? So we'll see what happens. But I mean, the numbers are just bad, and you mentioned it. Bird was good today, but Mears' ERA on the season 6.96, Bird's ERA 5.56, and Jordan Beeks has been pretty good for them. He's 3.50, a younger guy too. And just to throw this out there, we were talking about Feltner. He'll probably get moved back to the bullpen. Herman Marquez is working his way back from Tommy John surgery. I believe Kyle Freeland just made a rehab start down in AAA. So they've had to piece this starting rotation together a little bit. And I do think the Rockies bullpen will get a little bit of a boost in Feltner, who can kind of be that middle reliever who can soak up 2 or 3 innings, for the most part here. So we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, some momentum, dare I say, for the Rockies? Probably not. And I wish I had this number in my head, but you did the Prize Picks read earlier. The Rockies on games that are the final game of a series, like not just a losing record, an abysmal record. They have been awful in these end of series games as well. So I would project a Rockies loss tomorrow, but let's see if they got some momentum.
Well, the Dodgers have to score some more runs later in the game. Coming into this one, 14 runs in the first 2 from the 7th on. So the fact that they didn't score after the 5th was obviously the reason that they lost this game. They needed to score some runs in the 7th, 8th, or 9th, and it would have been a different story. But Ramirez suffers the loss. Beeks gets the win, and the Rockies, again, their 26th win of the season, 15th at home, and a 7-6 walk-off over the Dodgers, who are now 46-30, 22-15 at home. That'll do it for the Locked On Dodgers postcast, the Locked On Rockies postcast. You can find it on the Locked On LA YouTube channel and the Locked On Denver YouTube channel. And of course, the Rockies and Dodgers podcast feeds as well. Anilo, pleasure. Are we going to do it again tomorrow, or are you out?
I will be on my way to Wrigley Field. So unfortunately, I will not be able to do it with you tomorrow. I'm going to soak up some Mets Cubs over the course of this weekend. But you and I, man, the Rockies and the Dodgers are playing a handful of times division rival. Oh, I can't say rival because the Dodgers do own them, but division opponents. So I'm sure we'll be doing plenty of these crossover episodes as we move forward throughout the season and the following years, my friend.
Well, appreciate it. Have a good trip. And if anybody asks you what's going on with the Rockies when you're in Chicago, just tell them, you told me it wasn't close. You told me it wasn't close. It was at least close. That's all I want to hear. Just tell me it was close. That's like from Dumb and Dumber. Tell me there's a chance. You're saying there's a chance. Just tell me it was close.
Gotta love it. Gotta love it.
All right, man. Rockies win it 7-6. I'm Pete Fox. He's Anilo Piro. We will talk again soon. Have a good trip, buddy. Take care.